This film is intended for eye surgeons for training and education purposes. Viewer discretion is strongly recommended.
Hi, this is going to be a basic tutorial type for the young surgeons on understanding how to perform the lateral separation maneuvers when you're trying to divide a nucleus. I'll also try to highlight some of the common mistakes which are done by the beginner surgeons. And let me start the case. This is an elderly lady. Although the cataract appears white, I'm expecting a dense brown nucleus underneath it. The surgery is being done under peribulbar anesthesia. The side ports are made. It's important to stain the capsule well. So in a 1 ml syringe, we take about 0.3 ml of air, and then rest would be the dye. So I prefer to stain it under an air bubble always, because I believe once you do the fluid air exchange, the capsule becomes a little bit drier and hence takes up the stain much better. The first air goes in, and then we're going to put in the dye drop by drop so that the entire capsule is stained. Waiting for about 15 seconds would give us quite a good stain here. Go in and decompress the chamber as the dye is being irrigated out. So I'm going to use dispersive OVD. It is a combination of chondroitin sulfate and sodium hyaluronate 1.4%. The reason I use this combination is it also acts like an agent which can protect the endothelium and also acts like a space maintaining agent. So I prefer this over cohesive OVD because when you're using cohesive OVD, you don't get that corneal protection aspect. So here we can both form the space, maintain the space, as well as coat the endothelium for protection. So that's the reason I prefer this, and it gives enough pressure from the anterior aspect to control the rhexis well. So we can see there is a pool of fluid which is looking like an X here. So this is the area where the liquefied cortex is there, and beyond that we have the swollen cortex. So let me pause the video here. So I usually explain in my previous videos the concept that when we have pockets of fluid, these are the cataracts where the rhexis runoff is a little bit less. Simply because the moment you puncture the capsule, there is a spontaneous decompression happening because of the egress of the liquefied cortex, and because now the intracapsular pressure is lesser, there's a lesser risk of the tear extending towards the equator. So I don't do any aspiration at all. So you just go in and puncture. The moment you puncture, the fluid is going to come out. Let's see how things turn out. So the moment I puncture, you can see there is some amount of egress. The flap is raised, and because I feel that I have control over the flap, I'm not going to do a two-stage rhexis. The eye is reasonably soft, the rhexis is well under control, and I could complete a rhexis which is about 5.5 millimeter in diameter and is well centered. So now is the time to go ahead and do the nucleus management. Usually in these mature cataracts, I avoid hydrodissection. So I refill the chamber with HPMC now. We know that dispersive OVD is on top and HPMC is underneath it. So I'm directly going in with my phaco probe. The superficial epinucleus is aspirated, and we can see that the underlying nucleus is laid bare and it is brown as I was expecting it. So my go-to technique in such situations is usually the 4-quadrant technique, and I feel by coring out the hardest part of the nucleus, we can use a lesser power for lateral separation. Of late, I have been preferring to do the sculpting by using one hand only, not in the second instrument. But in this case, because the nucleus is very mobile, I'm introducing my second instrument, chopper, just to stabilize the lens as the sculpting is being done. I realized that the sculpt is not happening exactly at the center, so I just move the nucleus a little bit to the left side, pull it out with my second instrument, and then redo the sculpting. All the 4 grooves are created. Only thing I need to deepen each of these grooves. So observe my second instrument as it is supporting the nucleus. literally holding it as the trenching is being done. Now, because there is no epinucleus or cortex, the nucleus is very mobile, so using the second instrument to stabilize does help out. The most critical aspect of sculpting in such dense cataract is to ensure that we are as deep as possible, but I'm unable to go deep simply because the nucleus is very mobile. Nevertheless, I want to core in as deep as possible because the more posterior we reach, the more easier for me to divide. Now, this was the maximum I could reach, and now I thought let me do the modified chop technique, because just lateral separation might not work in this case because I've not gone deep enough. That I realized immediately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the direct vertical chop maneuver only and hold the anterior pillar of these quadrants and then initiate the vertical chop and then lateral separation. The settings are in the chop mode now. The power is in the longitudinal in burst mode. The chopper which I'm going to use is 1.5mm length, which has got a sharp tip so that I can reach very well and posteriorly. The tip is engaged and the chopper goes in and tries to reach the posterior plate. And as we can see, it's a little bit of a struggle to reach the posterior plate. So I have to go in as deep as possible. At the same time, I need to be mindful that my left hand does not go in and stretch and tear the rhexis margin. So we have got a full thickness the crack, but there is still a central attachment. Nevertheless, I proceed with my next chop. Again, I would want to just slow down the footage a little bit so that you can understand the basic principle here. So when I'm holding it, the left hand does the initial chopping and lateral separation maneuver. I realize that it's not deep enough. So you don't have to be desperate to do the lateral separation. Observe that the chopper progressively goes in a deeper plane and does a small maneuver of lateral separation. So this is continued until we see a full thickness crack. So be a little bit patient, go in slowly and then place the chopper progressively deeper. This is what it is to be done. You can see the left hand keeps on going posteriorly until the last bit of attachment is taken care of. And let me show you once again. So as the left hand is doing all the maneuvers, observe what is happening to the right hand. The right hand is being held still. It is not being pushed laterally. If you put very much laterally right side, it might go in and damage the zonules of the posterior capsule. Important that we hold it at the right plane. What is the right plane? It has to be pulled a little bit up. So I prefer that the anterior surface of the fragment, which is held by my right hand with the phaco probe, the anterior surface should be grazing the anterior capsule. So that will give me a hint that I am not gone posteriorly. So the most important reason for posterior capsular tear during managing the nucleus divisions in these hard cataracts is a wrong way of doing the lateral separation maneuver. So I'll explain it at the end of the case. So now we have got all the fragments ready. Now is the time to consume them one by one. So the first fragment is now being pulled out of the bag and then slowly but surely being emulsified. The change in the settings are there. This is a quadrant removal mode wherein we are going to have a continuous torsional energy being delivered. The flow rate is 40 and the vacuum is 400. The machine which I'm using is the Alcon Legion 1. The second instrument now is being held on top, just guiding it to ensure that the fragments don't fly around. Now of late there has been some change in the way I do quadrant removal, and this is as a result of teaching my fellows. I realized that when by doing quadrant removal, if you're using a single hand, it would do the job much more efficiently. There is no computational flow rate. So for the last maybe 8 months or so, we are recommending not to use a second hand during quadrant removal whenever it's possible. So after the first fragment is removed, I go in and refill my chamber first with the dispersive OVD, which is coating the endothelium, and followed by HPMC underneath it. This is what we call as the modified soft shell technique. And then Time to remove the 3 quadrants. Remember, the maximum amount of endothelial damage happens during quadrant removal because the mechanical trauma, these fragments would be hitting the endothelium, and that is when you can have these endothelial injury and first post-op corneal edema. So it's a very good habit to replenish OVD after the end of each fragment consumption. The next fragment is vent and it's held in and pulled out of the bag. Now the emulsification is being done. What is the level of the phacoprobe now? I'm trying to keep it at the level of the rhexis margin so that it is reasonably away from the corneal endothelium, and just using the phaco power and the necessary vacuum, you just emulsify and aspirate the fragment. So again, go back, refill the chamber with OVD. I'm just going to reorient the fragments back again to the desired position so that I can easily lift it out. Remember, we're dealing with an empty bag here, so I don't want to go fishing with the high flow rate within the bag. So the anterior pole of the fragment is brought into an accessible position, and my probe is at the level of the rhexis margin. Again, watch it. I'm not using any second instrument, and you can just consume it, and the nucleus is consumed very well. So the amount of energy which you're delivering ensures that there is no turbulence or flutter. So you have to titrate your energy, and it is done by your foot pedal itself. So that if you use excessive energy, there is a bombarding of the fragments and they fly all around and hit the endothelium. Now time to deal with the last fragment. Again, same thing. Go back and replenish the OVD. This has to be done religiously. This is the best way to safeguard your endothelium. Time to go in and pull out the last fragment again. Where do you catch the fragment? I usually prefer to hold it at the anterior part or anterior wall of the fragment. And slowly but surely the fragment is consumed in a very controlled manner. You can see that the fragment is literally hung around the phacotip. It never leaves the phacotip. By doing this, we ensure that the lens chatter or the flutter inside the antechamber is very minimal, and this is the best way to minimize the turbulence in the antechamber. Time to remove the cortex. The OVD is pushed in to burp out some of the small lens fragments which are there. The irrigation goes in with my left hand and the aspiration goes in with the right hand. So remember, when you're doing irrigation aspiration, follow the principle of engage, strip and then aspirate. Try to engage with very low vacuum at the equator of the bag. Then with moderate vacuum, strip it to the center part, and when you're in the central safe zone, push in the pedal and ensure that the cortex is aspirated out. In this case, you can see there is a sideways movement after engaging. That is to ensure that I don't catch the anterocapsule. This sort of a tangential stripping of the cortex. In these eyes, the zonules are very healthy, but this tangential way of stripping the cortex is quite helpful when we have a pseudoexfoliation and you're suspecting that the zonules are not great. The hands are swished, the cortex from the other part is now aspirated out. Time to implant the lens. This is a single piece hydrophobic lens which is being implanted into the bag. OVD both in front and behind the lens is irrigated out. That's it, the case is done. Okay, so let us go back and analyze this lateral separation maneuvers. It's worthwhile to have a look at it again. So this is a case where the division of the 4 fragments was not done using the typical lateral separation maneuver. In fact, I used the chop maneuver itself. So the most common mistakes which are done by beginner surgeon is refusing to progressively place the chopper or the second instrument at a deeper plane. So when you do that, excessive stretching can itself result in either a posterior capsular tear or an anterior capsular tear or zonal adhesions. So mind you, what should be done? You always stabilize the nucleus by holding it with one hand. That's the right hand. The phacoprobe is holding it. The left hand which is doing this chopping maneuver. So remember, the chopping maneuver is in 2 parts. The first is the vertical scoring. The second would be the lateral separation maneuver. So when you do the vertical scoring, if you reach halfway depth of the nucleus and you do lateral separation maneuver, in these denser cataracts, the posterior plate won't crack. So if you use excessive force, there is always a risk of tearing the posterior capsule or the anterior capsule. So always ensure that this can be easily achieved by making multiple attempts of the lateral separation maneuver. This is the first maneuver, this is the second maneuver. Look at the position of the chopper, it is much more deeper. And this is the third maneuver. And finally, the posterior plate breaks. So don't expect that the full thickness separation of the fragments is going to happen in the first maneuver itself. If you expect that and if you put in more force for that, you are going to break something inside the eye. So important to understand that multi-level lateral separation maneuvers are important, and the more posterior you reach, lesser energy you require to separate the fragment. At the same time, remember what is the position of the right hand. The right hand is holding the fragment, lifting it just a little bit up, not pushing down, and this ensures that you are not pushing at the posterior capsule with the right hand. So always try to practice this. Be conscious, mindful where your right hand is. The second most common mistake which happens is the surgeon will be so focused on just getting the full thickness crack, he would not be aware where the right hand would go and how much stretching the left hand is going. Number third, the lateral separation maneuver, the movements are only lateral, not vertically down. If you, along with the lateral movements, if you push the nucleus down, you're bound to tear the posterior capsule. This you need to be mindful. And this is the only reason why we break posterior capsules during nucleotomy in these dense cataracts. So that was it. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching.